going on, people? This is Matter of Fiction here on another episode of Subterranean Glutton. Today, I want to address a couple of points of interest due to the fact that, in light of Anthem coming out at his launch date, the 22nd, not talking about early access, I see a growing trend that's been occurring since Destiny 1, where a lot of content creators sensationalize and, in their thirst for content, fly through games. And before any of that, let's just contrast just the two games, right? Destiny, as you can tell, I have my Age of Triumph shirt. I'm a veteran Destiny player. I stopped playing before the latest DLC because I couldn't take Bungie's monetization schemes. And for a long time, I was calling out their bullshit because it was evident that they were doing all they can, not Bungie, Activision. They were doing all that they can to get the money from us. And a lot of content creators I saw defended them because, it fit their bottom line. It's how they made their money. It wasn't until they got to a point where you couldn't blindly ignore the signs because it was so evident that you could no longer, turn a blind eye to it. So everybody started to jump on the bandwagon of not holding Bungie accountable. Now, in contrast, I don't know if, and I'm sure many of you remember, whenever since Vanilla 1, every time concerns would be voiced, you would kind of get, we're hearing your comments, and we'll address that. And then you wouldn't see anything notable for about a month or 2 months later. It varied. But then you see small fixes, insignificant fixes, or major nerfs, or like buffs that didn't really change the way that the game was. And the way that they talked to the community too, it just felt downright disrespectful at a point. Now, in contrast, it seems like BioWare's making an effort to stay in contact with the community. And not just that, they've been prompt with trying to rectify all the concerns, via the insanely large patch drop that they're going to be doing on the 22nd. Forgive my pause. And they're staying extremely they're staying in contact with the community, and they're going to great lengths, to show good faith. Now, that's not saying that we should blindly follow and accept all of it. These game companies for a while have been getting away with BS, so you should always keep them accountable. Everybody should be kept accountable. Not just these companies, but content creators and players alike. The state of our culture, as I would say, of the gaming culture, is ridiculously toxic. There's no practicalities, no pragmatism. People go and they either want everything super good or they blindly follow for whatever reason. Now, I'm not caping. I haven't played Anthem besides the VIP demo and the open demo, and I'm interested. Not saying that I'm going to blindly follow whatever it is that they intend on doing, and I'm going to deal with bullshit. But they're showing signs of good faith. So, I observe, I'll play, and then I'll react accordingly. Not condemning them, not demonizing them, because the atmosphere that they're trying to conduct seems like they are genuinely interested in giving us an experience that we will enjoy. And they seem like they're on the game. So it makes no sense for all these content creators on early access to be complaining about things mostly that are getting resolved. And another thing is, there's no time given for them to make good on promises of rectifying things that we find wrong with the game. Mind you, I believe that games, when they come out, they should have a decent amount of content. But another thing that I notice is you have content creators who are probably not even fucking sleeping, to be honest, and they're running through content when most games have about 40 hours of content, and they're like, oh no, there's no end game. Meanwhile, they, like BioWare said, that this is a 10-year affair that they plan on investing a lot of man hours and woman hours and resources into in order to try and make it as enjoyable as possible. And you have people who are running through it, hardly sleeping, and that's another point of contention that I have, because another thing that this culture does, especially the YouTube content creator culture, is to run through and get as fast as they can to endgame, then complain there's no content, and then bash them and then bash companies. Now, don't get me wrong, Bungie sorely lacked content for Destiny. That's a fact. And all the story that they promised, it was poorly delivered, not given in a way that it should have been. It should have been included in game. But because of that, people started making money. You had the lore channels, which did a spectacular job, even got me back into Destiny when I quit playing. Because of the bullshit. Because I was tired of not getting the story that was promised. Anthem appears to be putting all of their lore in game. And they plan on adding lore. And they plan on adding enemy variations, which is another point of contention that people have. That there's reoccurring enemies. But I have never heard people complain that Bungie, whose fallen enemies were the basis for the reskin for every other character in that game, whether it be Cabal, whether it be the Thrall, they were all pretty similar. Like, the archetypes were completely the same with the take cover and shoot, and you can shoot them in the head with slight variations or one or two new enemies, and nobody ever really complained. My point is just like, it hasn't even been enough time. But people who have early access just feel the need to crap all over this game. And people haven't even had the chance to really sit down and gain their own understanding or gain their own opinion. It's just this need to go and follow these content creators like their word is gospel, and it's stupid, it's bullshit. Like, I want people to formulate their own conclusion about if they like or dislike a game, and if they're willing to put in the hours and give these companies the benefit of the doubt. But all you have is content creators sensationalizing stuff without being pragmatic. Not to say you shouldn't criticize them about microtransactions, because you should. We shouldn't be taken for more money than we put down. Unless it's reasonable. I have no problems with that. But I don't see anybody talking about mobile games and the fact that they do loot crates and that's their main source of income. Because it has to be all across the board. Not just because you decided you like a game and you want to do it. No. If people have a problem with loot crates and loot boxes, I say we all, as a community, go, we don't want this shit no more. We're never going to spend money, because the only way to really make a statement is to hit them where it hurts, which is their wallets. And all together, stop doing loot boxes. But that's another point entirely. Another thing is the hype train. Oh, this is the Destiny killer and this, that, and the third. Look, Destiny killed itself. For over 3 years, they had the looter shooter locked down with the mass multiplayer looter shooter. They had that industry all to themselves. They destroyed it all by themselves. They didn't need anybody to do it. But this hype train that people run, they're like, oh no, this game is shit, and nah, they should have delivered more. And it's like, bro, like, You're the reason why people go into this shit like with high expectations. Fact of the matter is, everybody should go in there with a little bit of skepticism. But people can't do that because everybody wants to sensationalize because they need content for their channel. Another thing being that you have communities that give their games a chance. Destiny's community was not like that. They were super toxic. They weren't realistic, nor did they keep their company, because we were all high off of the potential of Destiny. I loved the game when it first came out. Not because of what it was, but because of what it could have been. And Bungie dropped the ball. Or Activision, or whatever the case may be. Whoever's fault it is, it doesn't matter. Because to me, I'm done with Destiny. I had my fun, I met a lot of good people, but they're not getting any more of my money. Because when D2 came out, that was a crazy, disappointment. That was a disappointment. And they have amazing lore. They never did anything with the content that they had. They had wonderful, amazing lore, never did jack squat with it. Squandered all of it. Had really good DLCs, but how much money did you have to put down? Like, it was just that paywall was crazy. And then when you really look at it objectively, was it worth it? That's not for me to decide. I've made my decision. I feel a certain way about it, and that's okay. Because I came to my own conclusion. I didn't listen to none of these YouTubers, none of these streamers who wanted to go and try and put forth an agenda or like a mindset like if their word was fucking gospel. It's pathetic. But then you have communities like the Warframe community who is strong. Played Warframe a little bit. I like it. But when I tried it, it was nothing like when it started. And you have community members who have been there since the beginning. Faithful. Warframe strong. They gave their game time to evolve. Time to mature. They worked with the devs. The devs listened to their community, which is why that game is, from what I hear, even more amazing than it was when it started. Division. I played Division when it first started. Buggy as hell. I ran through all that content just like everybody else. People exploited the shit out of that game. And then what happened? People started jumping ship. Oh no, we're able to exploit it, so this game sucks. I can cheese the end. Everybody started getting crazy gear. And then content was just nowhere to be found because people ran through it. But there was a community that stuck with them. And as it progressed, it turned into a spectacular game. Its content was wonderful. They did everything that they could to try and make good on their promise of making The Division a really good game. And it was successful. The game was really good at the end of it. But Anthem, just like any other of these content creators, they're putting out a game, they put out the framework, they're doing their best to stay in contact with us. But a lot of these content creators they won't give them time to breathe. And the launch date hasn't even come. 22nd's not even here, just early access. The multitude of fixes that they've done since the demos, since the open demo and the VIP demo, which mind you were old builds, have already been fixed. These are patches that's going to drop on launch day. The things that people from the early access have complained about, they said they will address on launch date. These live streams that they have, they give away way more information than they should. But they want to show acts of good faith. Now, if people have problems with the microtransactions, if nobody pays for microtransactions and they tell them this is too expensive, either drop it or we're not going to invest money in this, then they will drop their prices. It's as simple as that. But there is no need to whine, bitch, and moan when the game has not even been given a month. The game hasn't even officially dropped for everybody, which, mind you, when it does, there's going to be server issues because I guarantee you a shitload of people are going to play. I mean, as far as these companies go, of course, you should stay objective, hold their feet to the fire, keep them honest. But at the same time, these are people busting their ass to try and give us a product that's worthwhile. Now, mind you, people don't think that it's worthwhile day one. That's okay. Give them a little bit of time and maybe they'll deliver on what they promised. That's all I'm saying. Now, yeah. I don't know. I think I've gone through all my points. I just feel like people shouldn't get too invested into games. The gaming industry is bad on both sides, I think. I think content creators and these developers need to think twice about overly monetizing these games and give us what we pay for. But in the same regard, I think the over dramatization of these things that go wrong in the game need to be done with a little bit of tact. But hey, that's just my thoughts. I have plenty of more thoughts on the gaming industry, on games, on the community. Look, at the end of the day, I know that the community itself will be able to have fun with this game. And people will like it, and people won't. But I don't think that anybody's opinions should be based on YouTube content creators. I don't. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people make their living on YouTube. And when it comes to money and opinion on culture, a culture I've been invested in for years, nah, sorry. Your sensationalism versus what reality really is and how we should go about holding these people accountable and the type of atmosphere we promote in our community, where whether it be something we dislike, we should be able to have polite and civil discord. But at the same time, we should use our financial power to hold these companies accountable. I know people are skeptical of EA. I know people are skeptical of Activision. You should be. Their monetization tactics are devious. They do whatever they can to put their toe in the water, see how it feels, see if they'll be able to get away with this stuff. But that's why you stay awake. You observe. You call them on their bullshit. Not in a toxic way, but at the same time, when the other side of the coin, like Bungie, because I know I have my problems with Bungie, but they've tried. Maybe they didn't try hard enough and they dropped the ball. What can you do? But there's still a large following for Destiny. So I hope that they make good on their promise to steer Destiny back on track. But as far as BioWare, I gotta say, since Andromeda, which everybody hated, that's not my opinion. For what it was worth, I enjoyed Andromeda as a standalone project. I enjoyed the multiplayer aspect. I tried to look for what was good about the game. When people were mad about facial recognition or whatever the fuck it was. But as far as Anthem goes, they're trying. They haven't even dropped the 60 FPS patch yet. There's a lot of stuff that they're going to add. Give them time. Decide based on what you say to them that you feel is wrong with the game and how they respond. Be intelligent about how you critique things. This shouldn't be anything new. This is what adults do. I expect children to bitch and moan and cry, but I expect adults to act like adults and have actual, meaningful conversations with these devs if they're willing to go the extra mile to meet us in the middle. And BioWare seems to be doing that. Now, if at any point they don't respond as they should, you hold them accountable. If you think the game is absolutely trash, don't fucking play it, bro. But if you need that content, fix your fucking tone. Stop being so fucking toxic. There's a difference between positive feedback and sensationalism. Just because you need clicks, because you want to fucking support yourself. Anyway, that's the end of my thing. This is Subterranean Glutton out. You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody's good out in YouTube land. I love you guys. Stay safe.